How'd that feel, big dog?
Things were looking real bad for the Nittany Lions after a fourth quarter pick six, while Coach Franklin describes the rally at Purdue as a good character win.
It was a very emotional moment for me to walk on that field with them opening those gates.
He understands the traditions and the pride for the blue and white. We have a lengthy discussion with new athletic director Dr. Pat Kraft in our Impact interview. And it's all aboard the Boilermaker Special. We take a ride on the world's largest mascot and get a tour through the West Lafayette campus. We'll tell you how this tradition began and why it's a favorite for the students. It's time for Nittany Game Week. What a season opener. Welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski with our coaches, Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. Guys, well, first, Jay, I know you can't wait to get to the train story. You can't wait to see the Boilermaker Special.
Calista looks like Kramer on the fire truck in Seinfeld.
Yeah, Andrew Calista's got a great story about the Boilermaker Special coming up a little later in the show. But how about the comeback? How about the finish? Look, it's week one. We saw the usual mistakes that teams make in week one, but a thrilling finish and a great road win, guys, for week one.
There are no bad wins, and all's well that ends well.
You like to start on the road.
Especially on the road.
Yeah.
You got it on the road on opening day, which is great.
Yeah, you like to start on the road. I know that.
I do like to start on the road.
To circle the wagons, get everybody together, and get that victory and get that going. All right, we're going to get things going with our opening drive. Which means we got to talk about the final drive for the win, and Sean Clifford, 6-year quarterback, responsible for 5 touchdowns, 4 throwing, 1 rushing. Here's the first touchdown of the season to the transfer wide receiver, Mitchell Tinsley. Does a nice job, waits for the crossing route to open and gets the score. And then, guys, down the stretch, here we go, a couple of plays to finish it off.
Well, this is when you find out what you got. You struggled much of the game, had some ups and downs. 6 of 7 in the last drive made it happen.
Yeah, and this touchdown, Kevon Lee gets the winner, Tom.
Exactly. And awesome. You know, it was just a great comeback. It was a great win, a great team win.
Only 14 of 30 going into that drive, and then all of a sudden 6 of 7, very efficient, great play calling, and great execution. The coach literally sweating it out after the win.
This is a character win for our program. It was a tough win. Be able to win it in a 2-minute drive at the end. We've had a few of these over the years. We worked it a ton during training camp. We worked it this week, something we do every week. And obviously with Sean's experience and confidence, we were able to make some plays and get it going.
Kind of symbolic. I think that's just like the rest of the fans. Everybody needed to towel off after that win. That was really, really exciting and really thrilling. And look, there are always a few key sequences in a game you can point to for the end result. Late in the first half, the Nittany Lions really swung the momentum in their favor.
No question. The fumble and then the touchdown, that's a 14-point swing. Because with Purdue getting the ball to start second half, they could have been up 24-14 at that point. They weren't. They were down.
Yeah, talk about some of the fundamentals, Tom. The defense has really been working on turnovers, and they get a big one.
They get a huge one there with Joey Porter. And you can see they're really attacking that ball. Any chance they get, they are swiping at that thing to get turnovers.
It's not just going to be fumbles. They're really going after interceptions as well. And then this really critical mistake by Purdue, and what a job by Brenton Strange.
Yeah, broke tackles. One of the things I think that was a real positive on last night, I want to say Saturday, but on Thursday night, was the a lot of yards after the catch from the receivers, tight ends and wideouts.
Yeah, no doubt. And Brenton Strange said, yeah, look for me to do more of that.
I didn't know I came close to stepping out of bounds, but honestly, that's what I expect out of myself. I'm a great player after the catch, and I pride myself on being a great player after the catch. And breaking tackles might not be the fastest, but I'm going to break them tackles.
He did break them tackles, 67 yards. He certainly bounced off a couple of guys. Strange was not going to be denied. So we move to field position and clock management. This is an issue for Purdue. Not only did they give up that touchdown with just 2 seconds left in the half, they did some strange things in the fourth quarter, Jay, that you pointed out for the Boilermakers.
No question. Got the ball back with about 6.5 minutes to go. Only ran 1:20 off the clock. got the ball back with 4:48 or so to go, only ran 2 minutes off the clock, threw the ball almost every down, and that really cost them the game at the end when it all said and done.
And Tom, this is some of the week one stuff that you see. I mean, Aiden O'Connell's a 6-year quarterback as well. So, I think with Jeff Brom, he just has that foot on the gas, and he never really let off the gas.
He didn't let off. And that's one of the things. In clutch times, you got to be able to run that ball somehow. And I thought they were doing okay with it. They should have continued it late in the game. And, to do that, the time management on your side, that wasn't very good.
And some of the other stuff that we'll see, guys, from the game, you see the defense working it. Here's Purdue with the run game. They did score a couple of short touchdown runs, and it was really just a battle and back and forth, and both teams just doing, taking their punches and counter punches, and I thought they both responded kind of well.
Yeah, and I think there were two critical series where Purdue's defense, or Penn State's defense, set the offense up to get a 43-yard touchdown drive and a 55-yard touchdown drive. Purdue never got the ball to start outside throwing 31, so I think Penn State's defense did a nice job setting the offense up in key spots.
One of the other things that came up is I thought Penn State was much better fundamentally. Just look at the tackling, how bad Purdue's tackling was compared to Penn State's tackling. I thought Penn State was much better prepared fundamentally in the opening game.
Perfect example of it right there with that Keandre Lambert-Smith. For him to break loose and get that touchdown catch right there was really, really critical for the team. And, we mentioned fourth quarters, locking it down with the defense. The only points that were scored by Purdue was on the pick six. The defense really did their job in the fourth quarter, Tom. That's what you're always looking for, especially on the road.
Exactly, but the thing is how they got better as the game went on. They really came into their own into the fourth quarter. I thought Purdue looked gassed to me at the end of the game, and Penn State didn't. They looked like they were ready to go.
I mentioned the completion percentage. Clifford was just 14 of 30 at one point. Aiden O'Connell doing a good job. He ended up having a better completion percentage, Jay, by the end of the game than O'Connell.
Yeah, no question. And one of the things we talked about go back to that last drive, was on the scouting report, we talked about how Purdue had trouble with tempo and no huddle, and that really hurt them in the last drive. And Penn State took advantage of it, was very aggressive.
All right, we get to take a breather and talk a little bit more about the game next week. Right now, let's go to the scrap metal. Tom, we tee it up for number 9. Redshirt junior, Joey Porter Jr. is back. Of course, he would love to have that as an interception, but he was jumping the route, and he was there. He was there all night long.
There's going to be some arguments in the Porter household this week. Joey Jr. got a lot of bragging rights. I know his father very well. It's going to be fun. Had a great game. He had 8 tackles. He had 3 pass deflections, okay? Came up with that huge fumble. A lot of credit, but I want to hear the arguments in the Porter household this week.
Absolutely. And for Joey Porter Jr., said this is a really big team win.
These are the ones that really mean a lot to the whole team. It was a grit fight. We came down, we was losing, we was winning, we were losing. A lot of ups and downs, but we stayed true to ourselves. And that's the whole thing.
And teams are really going to start going away from Porter Jr. after performances like Thursday night. A solid start to the season for the redshirt junior. Still to come, he is the new guy at Penn State. Our Impact interview spills into 2 segments. Dr. Pat Kraft is our guest. The new AD in Happy Valley talks about his priorities and the immediate future for the Nittany Lions when Nittany Game Week returns.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
And welcome back. Time for our Impact interview. And there's a new guy in town. He could not be happier to be there. Dr. Pat Kraft, the new Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics, a former football player at Indiana, former athletic director at Temple and Boston College. Pat, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for your time.
Well, thanks, Todd. I feel like this is a recruiting visit that never happened with Jay and Coach Bradley there. I'm happy to be with y'all. It's great to be here.
Well, look, I'm sure you have a light schedule right now. But, This is our Impact interview, and you are in a position now to have a huge impact on Nittany Lions sports. So I'll throw out a general question and let you go specific with it, Pat. What are the biggest challenges for Penn State? What things can Penn Staters expect in the years to come?
Well, I don't think it's what challenges. I don't look at it that way. I really do think there's opportunities. I think we're positioned really, really well because of our history and tradition. I think what we have to do is kind of recenter ourselves. We got to get back to what we know, how we do our business. I mean, look at the blueprint was written many, many years ago on how to be excellent and great here. And so the way I look at it, I mean, some of the fundamental things we've done early on is really focus on mental health, sports performance, athletic training, strength and conditioning. I think those are really key elements. If you don't get good fruit if you don't have a strong root and everything. And, Jay and Tom will tell you, I think those things are paramount. You got to have, the mind has got to be right. The body's got to be right. So we've really focused on that early. In fact, we've been interviewing mental health support folks, and which is good. And then we got to look at our facilities. Our Olympic facilities are behind, and so we're diving into that piece, nutrition, and then obviously the world of NIL that we're dealing with. But I truly think everything is. We have the one wonderful thing about Penn State is it's all in our control. We control our own destiny. We control our own fate. It's not about anybody else. It's just about us, and the power of the brand is so significant. We just got to harness it again, get our juice back, get our mojo back. But we'll do that in pretty quick order.
Hey, Pat, shifting to college sports topics more broadly. Recently, Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren concluded a pretty massive television deal. Can you talk about the impact that will have on all Big Ten schools, including some new schools?
Yeah, I think financially, it has an impact. Those things I just mentioned, you got to pay for them. So I believe the dollars and cents are going to be impactful for us. I mean, we have to really look at the way our operating budgets have to be enhanced, and looking at how we recruit, and travel is going to be a big piece of it. So there's no denying that money will help there. I think from another perspective, it allows, you got 3 big windows. You got noon, 3:30, and the 7 o'clock. So you're on really nationally. You got a major networks. And for us at Penn State, we should be playing ourselves into one of those windows. Continues to drive our brand. I think it's, there's a lot to peel on it. We're just starting to get into, how games are selected and all that. But we're really proud. I think it just shows how strong. Again, I'm a Big Ten guy. It shows, once again, we're the best conference in the country. I believe that in my heart. And so I think it was really, really important and impactful. But, look at the financial implications are good. It's big. It helps. But I think from a brand perspective, I think it's really, really good for us.
Pat, Kevin Warren also talked about compensating student athletes as a very real possibility. Do you see that happening, and what kind of time frame is realistic for that to happen?
Tommy, that hurt you to ask, didn't it? I mean, you're old school. The grizzledness of your voice. That was. Look, what I appreciate about Kev is Commissioner Warren. He's very vocal about what he wants to see. I don't know, and I'm not dodging the question. I think there's going to be. I think the discussions are important. How that works out, there's so many factors that need to be worked out in that. I think it's going to be something that we will probably see in our lifetime. What it looks like, I don't know. Who would have ever thought the NIL piece would be what it is today? And so I think it's being discussed, and how this works, and what is it. And you guys all know this. It's not just as easy as just we pay them. Is it football? Is it the basketball team? Our men's and women's soccer team is elite. Our field hockey team is elite. So there's all these things that do take shape. And so, Tom, I don't know. I think if you read the tea leaves, it looks more and more like it's going that way. But how it looks, it's just every day is so different.
Some really good stuff with the new Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics, and we're not letting him go just yet. You'll be able to see his entire interview at NittanyGameWeek.com, along with other bonus content. When we come back, we dive a little deeper into the name, image, and likeness issue. Dr. Kraft talks about NIL from his perspective and the way the university and their fans can work together to enhance the Nittany Lions. More Nittany Game Week after this.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
And welcome back. Time for our Impact interview. And there's a new guy in town. He could not be happier to be there. Dr. Pat Kraft, the new Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics, a former football player at Indiana. Pat, I find the acronym NIL to be so inappropriate for name, image, likeness, right? Because it's piling up. And a lot has been talked about with NIL in the past 14, 15 months. It's like a high-speed train rolling at everybody. For those that don't know what NIL is all about, can you give fans a quick 2 or 3 points to understand, for the fans at home to understand what this is all about from your point of view and some of the things you have to deal with it immediately?
Well, yeah, look at NIL in its simplest form is allowing the athletes to generate money off their name, image, and likeness, which I think I am a supporter of that. Other students have been able to do this in the general population. Now, like anything in our enterprise, people tend to take that and run with it in different fashion, if you will, and probably coloring outside the lines a little bit. But I think what we have to it really does come down to education, because we all of us on this show grew up with that. Was so counter to everything we were a part of. A student athlete getting a car, it was like the mortal sin. That was never, but that is okay. And what we're trying to educate is, this is okay.
So how important is NIL for those student athletes that are paying tens of thousands of dollars to play at Penn State, or even for those that are on full scholarship, they come from a tough background financially? Talk about how that's going to impact them and their lives.
Well, good teamwork there, Jay. We worked off each other. No, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, I think that's the piece of this that no one really is talking about, right? They talk about the star athlete, and you're hearing all these, crazy numbers, and half the time the numbers aren't true, but and they're buying players and doing all this stuff. Okay, so there's that, but there is the piece. We have the best wrestling program in the country, and there's only a limited amount of scholarships that we can, but we have a walk-on program that's really robust. Penn State football has a pretty robust walk-on program, and but those athletes don't get the full grant and aid. So this allows them, we at Penn State, we don't have merit-based scholarships. And so at other schools, you can stack scholarships, and it's different here. And so you hit it on the head. We were able to, through name, image, and likeness, they're able to maximize their value in other ways that might not be on the competitive athletic side as it relates to scholarships. But they're able to use the $2 million followers on Instagram to generate an outside, an income.
The reality is the NIL is reality, and everyone has to compete that way. Can you talk specifically about how important the role of the NIL collectives are for a school like Penn State in trying to compete nationally, not just in football, but all 31 sports up at Penn State?
Yeah, I think like I said, I think when having success and honor with it in place, it allows us. There is a control piece to that. Meaning, you just don't have people giving cash out and you can monitor it, and you understand. Like, we don't have anything to do with success with honor. I mean, other than how it's set up and knowing the people and educating them on rules and regulations and all that. But you don't want to get into this old school booster. Well, I'm just going to pay this person, or you got one rogue person and you can't really control it, right? I think there is a Title IX piece to it that people have to understand too, and that's why we're giving the collective is giving access to all of them, and it's allowing a platform for us to think. I think it streamlines it really well. You could do success with honor camps, you can do success with honor shows, and it brings all of the athletes into the mix, and I think it just makes it such an easier way to understand something that is so very difficult to understand right now.
Really appreciate the extra time from Dr. Kraft. You can see or share all of our Impact interviews at NittanyGameWeek.com. When we come back, all aboard the Boilermaker special. We take a quick tour of Purdue's claim to fame. We're in the final minutes of Nittany Game Week. Road trip to Purdue. What do you think? One of your favorite places? It's always good to get a win, I guess, right?
It's a wild place to win, and any win is a good win there.
And one of the great things is you win your first game. If you're going to be a good football team, you'll see your most improvement between week 1 and week 2.
We're going to check that out. So a Big Ten road trip always offers some unique experiences. At Purdue, you can check out the world's largest mascot. Our Andrew Callista catches a ride on the Boilermaker Special.
All aboard the Boilermaker Special for a ride around campus on the coolest set of wheels.
We're the spirit of Purdue, and I like to think that when people see us and they want the horns, we're bringing that spirit to them.
A lot of spirit for the black and gold faithful. 13,000 pounds, in fact, and the Boilermakers claim it as the world's fastest, heaviest, and loudest college mascot. Boiler up is the call. Forget Purdue Pete. The students have a favorite.
It's our official mascot for the school. Purdue Pete's just a figure that runs around on the field. It's cool to have it ride around campus. It's fun to ride. Last year I went out to UConn for the game, and it was pretty cool to see all the reamers and the train out there. Just special tradition of Purdue.
Being able to drive through campus when there are a lot of students, play with the whistles and horns, just having all that spirit throughout my week definitely is the highlight.
Operated by the Purdue Reamer Club since 1939, the Boilermaker Special has one job.
To support the team, to support the school, and to support the fans who have come to support the team as well.
Did I mention that the Boilermaker Special can run up to 75 miles per hour and takes 2 people to operate, a pilot and co-pilot? Now that is what I call one sweet ride around campus.
Oh, great stuff. Thanks, Andrew. You could even see the train tracks behind you along the end zone. Don't miss our depth chart at NittanyGameWeek.com, which includes these local businesses. Our goal is to build a team in the community that supports the show and that you, in turn, support as a viewer to keep the hometown strong. If you haven't noticed yet, we have a lot to share with you when it comes to college football, and it doesn't all fit into a 30-minute window. Make sure to check out NittanyGameWeek.com for web-exclusive content. The Nittany Lions win a thriller in the opener. Now it's time to start the home schedule, which I know you guys like. Can't wait to get out there in front of Beaver Stadium crowd.
Got the Bobcats coming in from Ohio. You're going to be fun.
There's nothing better than the first opening game, is there?
Well,
it's just something always special about it.
Can't wait for you guys to break that one down. That's going to be a lot of fun. All right, for Jay and Tom, I'm Todd Sadowski. We leave you with a little bit more from the Boilermaker Special. Thanks for watching Nittany Game Week.